Something was taken from you when you were a child, something you loved deeply, and nobody ever told you who took it. Saturday morning cartoons. 4 hours of television that belonged entirely to you. Thundercats, He-Man, Ducktales, Animaniacs. You woke up before your parents, poured your own cereal, and for 4 hours every Saturday, nobody could touch you. And then one day, it was gone. Stay with me, because the people who took it from you are not who you think they are. The year is 1990, and somewhere in Washington, D.C., a law is being passed that most people have never heard of. A law that will quietly dismantle the most beloved television tradition in American history. It is called the Children's Television Act, and it was sold to the public as something designed to protect children. What it actually did was the opposite. Here is what the official story leaves out. The Children's Television Act was not written by people who loved cartoons. It was written by people who were afraid of them. In the late 1980s, a group called Action for Children's Television had been lobbying Congress for years. Their argument was simple. Saturday morning cartoons were too violent, too commercial, too dangerous for young minds. They produced studies. They held press conferences. They testified before Congress, and Congress listened. The Children's Television Act passed in 1990. It required broadcast networks to air a minimum number of educational programs for children each week. What that meant for Saturday morning was a death sentence.
But here is what nobody told. The act did not ban cartoons. It simply made cartoons expensive. Networks now had to prove their children's programming was education. Shows about a rabbit outsmarting a hunter, not education. A duck trying to recover his fortune, not education. A group of teenagers solving mysteries with a talking dog, absolutely not education. To meet the new requirements, networks started replacing cartoon hours with live-action education shows. Bill Nye, the Science Guy, Saved by the Bell, Beakman's World. The cartoons were pushed out, 1 hour at a time. And this is where it gets genuinely dark, because the networks weren't just following the law. They were relieved. Saturday morning cartoons had always been expensive to produce. They required animation studios, voice actors, writers, composers. Live-action educational programming cost a fraction of that. The Children's Television Act didn't just give networks permission to kill Saturday morning cartoons. It gave them a reason they could say out loud, a reason that made them look responsible, when the truth was far simpler. It was cheaper. But here's the part of this story that changes everything. Cable television had already been sharpening its knife for years. Nickelodeon launched in 1979, Disney Channel in 1983, Cartoon Network in 1992. These channels offered cartoons 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Saturday morning was no longer special. It was no longer the only place cartoons lived, and the broadcast networks had been looking for an exit ever since. The Children's Television Act handed them the door.
What happened next unfolded slowly, the way most institutional betrayals do. ABC replaced their Saturday cartoon block with a branded educational lineup. NBC's Saturday morning ended in 1992. CBS followed shortly after, and then on a Saturday morning in September 2000, CBS replaced its final cartoon block with college football coverage. After 60 years, Saturday morning cartoons on broadcast television were over. No announcement, no farewell, no acknowledgement that something irreplaceable had just ended. The networks simply moved on, and here is the darkest detail of all. The very group that lobbied to destroy Saturday morning cartoons, Action for Children's Television, dissolved itself in 1992. 2 years after the law passed, their work was done. They had gotten what they came for, and they left. But here is what they could not have predicted. The creators who grew up watching those Saturday morning cartoons did not disappear with them, they went to work. And what they built was something the broadcast networks could never have imagined. Avatar, The Last Airbender, Gravity Falls, Over the Garden Wall, Steven Universe. Shows with complete story arcs, genuine emotional depth, and artistic ambition that no Saturday morning cartoon ever came close to. The children who had lost their Saturday mornings grew up and made something better. The next time you feel the ache of Saturday mornings you can never get back, know that what replaced them was built by people who felt exactly the same ache, who decided that the best tribute to what they loved was to make something worthy of it. This is ToonVault. There's always more to the story, and the ones they tried to bury are always the most worth telling. Subscribe, because we're just getting started.